Pancasila from Jakarta, Indonesia. And the professor will be talking today on belief and happiness in both worlds, achieving happiness both worlds as perceived by Bediuzzaman Said Nursi and Shigeo Haruyama. That means a comparative study. We'll listen to him now. Professor, please welcome and present your paper.
Thank you, Mr. Alparslan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin, Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, and may His blessings and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad and upon all his family and companions. I'm humble and I really appreciate this opportunity for me to present a paper entitled Belief and Happiness in Both Worlds, Achieving Happiness in Both Worlds as perceived by Bediuzzaman Said Nursi and Shigeo Haruyama. The outline of my presentation consists of what is happiness, Nursi's reminder, how to gain happiness according to Nursi, how to gain happiness according to science or Shigeo Haruyama, where is it the meeting point between Nursi's and Haruyama's, and the last one is conclusion. Let me start from outline number one. What is happiness? According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, happiness is a state of well-being and contentment. It's a kind of joy, and there are a lot of similarities, including heaven, paradise, seventh heaven. The general definition of happiness is that it is the experience of joy, contentment, or positive well-being, combined with a sense that one's life is good, meaningful, and worthwhile. The definition is actually covers both the worldly life and the hereafter. Now, let's go to the second outline. The second outline is Nursi's reminder, which I found in the use. The world is mortal, life is very short, while our obligations are many. Eternal life is determined here in the world, where there is no master, and the entertainer is God, most gracious and most wise, who does not waste the recompense of evil and good, and does not burden people above their capabilities. Number three is, then the straight path is different from the path that contain pain. Friends and worldly degrees only accompany us until the door of the grave. If so, then the happiest people are those who do not forget the hereafter because of this world. Those who do not sacrifice the hereafter for the sake of the world. Those who do not destroy his eternal life for the sake of his earthly life. Number seven is those who do not spend his life on something useless. And the last one is that those who as guests comply with the rules of the host, that is God or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he may open the door of the tomb safely and enter the land of happiness safely. The mortal life, which is life is not eternal in the world, but it is very short, which is based on Quran Surah Al-Ghafir verse 39. O my people, the life of this world is only a temporary enjoyment, and surely the hereafter is the place to settle forever. So, as a matter of fact, according to science, people is designed to live for about 125 years. Although the average of human life in this world is 73.2 years of both sexes. So 75.6 years for female and 74 4.8 years for male. Second one is there are many responsibilities in life. In life, humans are caliphs on earth, carry out the mandate or task assigned by Allah to be fulfilled as well as possible. This one is emphasized in Al-Ahzab, number 72, verse 72. Surely we did offer the trust or the spirit to the heaven and the earth and the mountains, but shrank from bearing it and feared from it, and human undertook it. Surely the soul is very tyrant, very ignorant. Number 3 is eternal life in the afterlife is determined in this world. So we have to prepare supplies because the world is very short. And that's why we have to do good deeds. This one is cited in Quran, Surah Al-Hasr, verse 18. O who you believe, who wish to reach Allah before death, become the owners of piety towards Allah, and so forth. Number 4 is that in the world, there is no master. There are servants. The master is the only God. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And I have created the jinn and the mankind that they should become servant to me, as Zariyat, verse 56. Number 5 of the reminder of Nursi is that the ultimate entertainer is God, who is more gracious and wise, who give reward to the pious. Allah is the giver of rewards for all good deeds and punishment for bad deeds. وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. This one is Al-Zalzalah, verse 7 until 8. Number 6, Allah does not burden us above human capacity. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. Allah does not burden the soul, but to the extent of their ability. Number 7 is strength and worldly degrees only accompany you to the grave, not in the grave. This one is Quran Surah Al-Mu'minun, number 10. The next one is that how to gain happiness according to Bediuzzaman Nursi. The first one is that not destroying the afterlife for the sake of this world. It means that please don't forget the hereafter because you are complacent by the world. And this one is strengthened by Quran Surah Al-An'am, verse 32. The life of this world is nothing but a play and amusement. Certainly, the abode of the hereafter is better for those who have piety. Do you still not use your minds? And then the second one is Surah Al-Qasas, verse 60. And whatever thing you have been given are only a provision or materials of the life of the world, and it's only ornament. And whatever is in Allah's presence is better and more lasting. Do you not then use your mind? The second one is that not spending our life on something useless. Wal asri innal insana lafi husr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. I know that the cause of this ayah of this surah is that many Arab people at that time used their time for talking only in Asar, and surely they lost their time not to do good deeds. And then there is also a saying of Muhammad, among the signs of the goodness of a person's Islam is he abandons things that are not useful. Number 3 is obeying the rules of Allah. Here, which road is good? He told them, one of the road to the right one is compelled to comply with the law and order, but within that hardship is security and happiness. So complying with Allah's rules according to the Holy Qur'an and the saying of Muhammad is also very important for us in order to gain happiness. Ladies and gentlemen, now we move to how to gain happiness according to scientific findings of Shigeo Haruyama. This one is important to be aware of, that our brain consists of two compounds, two chemicals. The first one is happy brain chemicals, which consists of dopamine, serotonin, endorphin, and oxytocin, which can boost happiness. While the second one is called unhappy brain chemicals, called noradrenaline, which is a toxic compound among natural poisons from snake, for example, snake venom. Noradrenaline or unhappy brain chemicals rank the second from snake venom. So this one is important to be aware of according to the scientific findings of Shigeo Haruyama. And in endorphin, there are four elements, or there are four subpoints: alpha endorphin, beta endorphin, gamma endorphin, sigma endorphin. And the most powerful one is called beta endorphin, which has the functions of having extraordinary pharmaceutical working power, helps slow down aging. So if you want to live longer and stay young, you have to be aware of this endorphin. Strengthens self-healing, affects the brain and the rest of our body. Of course, it boosts happiness. The second one, which is dangerous, is called noradrenaline. It is a toxic compound released by the brain, and it is released when we reject. There is an attitude of rejecting our condition. We don't accept ourselves as what we are. We are stressful because of the situation. We get depressed, we are sad, and we are angry, and then negative thinking. And if this one is released by our brain, it causes degenerative diseases like hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. And if this occurs in our body, if we suffer from these degenerative diseases, then we'll get sick, of course, unproductive and short-lived. Ladies and gentlemen, how to release the happiness hormones or compounds and prevent the release of unhappiness hormone or compound in order to achieve happiness. According to Shigeo Haruyama and my synthesis to the Holy Quran and the sayings of Muhammad, there are 5 dimensions that we have to activate and we have to take care of. The first one is our physical body. Second one is our mind. The third is heart. Number 4 is our soul. And number 5 is our social relationship, social life. Now, how to take care of our physical body? According to Shigeo Haruyama and scientific finding is that we have to consume, we have to eat halal nutritious food. Kulu mimma razaqakumullahu halalan thayyiban. The problem is that many of us does not realize about the good food or nutritious food, only halal food that we always describe. Number 2 is that strengthen our muscles. That is walking about 5,000 steps a day. And number 3 is that having proper and enough sleep. That is about 6 to 8 hours a day. That is according to Haruyama. And if we go to the Holy Quran, this one is already cited in the Holy Quran. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Ya ayuhan nas, kulu mimma fil ardi halalan thayyiban. ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. Al-Baqarah, verse 168. And then there are other surah, Ya ayuhan nas kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiban wa la tattabi'u khutuwati syaitan innahu lakum aduwwum mubin. How to eat healthily according to the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad. According to the Prophet Muhammad or hadith, the source of all medicine is to take care of the food. 1/3 for food when we eat, 1/3 for drink, and 1/3 for air. Although many of us, like me, sometimes eat very full. And then number B is that exercise. Now, exercise, according to Shigeo Haruyama in his book, The Miracle of Endorphin, we have to walk, to take steps about 5,000 steps a day. Having enough rest. Having enough rest, according to the scientific findings, is about 6 to 8 hours a day, especially in the evening. And this actually has been pointed out in the Holy Quran. وَمِنْ رَحْمَتِهِ جَعَلَ لَكُمُ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارَ لِتَسْكُنُوا فِيهِ وَلِتَبْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. It is out of His mercy that He has made for you night and day, that therein you may rest therein, i.e. during the night, and that you may seek His bounty, i.e. during the day, and in order that you may be grateful. In addition, it is also advised to have a rest at night, which is cited in Surah Al-Ghafir, verse 61. And there are a lot of other surah, Al-An'am, verse 60, Al-An'am, verse 96, Al-Furqan, verse 47, Al-Rum, verse 23, Al-Nabal, verse 86, Al-Mu'min, verse 61, and Yunus, verse 67. When is the best time to go to bed? I am thinking of this, why Isha comes earlier or occurs earlier. That is approximately 1 hour and quarter after Maghrib. Probably because we have to go to bed earlier in order to have enough sleep. That is about 6 to 8 hours a day or at night. So I think it is good for us to go to bed at 8 at night. Now, number 2 is that having positive thinking. This is a kind of mental attitude. Positive thinking, it is an optimistic attitude, is the practice of focusing on the good in any given situation. Positive thinking, of course, boosts endorphin, which is mentioned 66 times in the Holy Quran in order to think positively. One of them is Al-Baqarah, verse 66. So we made this punishment an example to their own and to succeeding generation and a lesson to those who are in Al-Muttaqun. So positive thinking is that the ability to draw a lesson from a disaster or something negative, like COVID-19, or coronavirus. Negative thinking like feeling failure, stress, anger, is already cited in the Holy Quran. For example, in Al-Baqarah, verse 134, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. That is not to be angry, because when we are angry, then compounds or chemicals of noradrenaline will be released for our brain. And this one will weak our immunity and will suffer from corona disease, for example. And this one is easier to suffer from disease when we are getting stress and depression, which is not really which has been already mentioned in the Holy Quran many times. And also the saying of Muhammad, La taghdab, faradda miraran, la taghdab. And then number 3 is that about our heart. Our heart is related to feelings. That is, Al-Quran told us to have peaceful heart, because only those who have peaceful heart will be invited to the paradise, according to Al-Fajr, verse 27 until 30. Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainnah irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. So we have to forgive, sincere, patient, grateful, steadfast, humble, empathetic, and modest. Number 4 is our soul. And this is the mating point of Nursi's perception about happiness. That a soul is the human-creator relationship, human and Allah relationship. That is, we have to believe in Allah, that Allah is everything. We have to be online with Allah every time in our life. We have to pray 5 times a day at least. And then tawakkal, that is representing our wish, our niyat, our intention to Allah. And then pray 5 times a day, a prayer. So pray to God. And then repentance. And then the last one is social relationship, that is human relations with fellow humans and other creatures. This one has been cited in Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 107. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. So we have to relate with fellow humans and other creatures with noble morals, that is good deed. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. And then conclusion. Indeed, for Nursi, eternal life is the afterlife, which is very everything in our life. There is other way to lead the happiest life, except that to prepare ourselves in the form of provision of faith, piety, and good deeds. Nursi emphasizes, if you want to understand what great happiness and bounty, what great pleasure and ease are to be found in belief in God. This one has been written by Nursi in the words, page 27. And then, ladies and gentlemen, Nursi emphasized happiness, not in this world, but happiness in the hereafter. To achieve true happiness, Nursi reminded us not to forget that there is an eternal life, namely the afterlife. In order to achieve the eternal happiness of life, namely obtaining his heaven, we must prepare ourselves in the world, namely to gather as much as righteous deeds as possible on faith and piety. Humans must believe that by complying with the rules of Allah and his messenger, they will surely get a double reward, and the reward is happiness, namely heaven, as an eternal place for people who are pious. And the hereafter, where paradise exists, is better for you than the first life. The true happiness is not having material possessions such as abundance of wealth, rank, and position, but it is a spiritual life that is having reassured soul, the true belief in the God as stated in the Holy Quran. To the righteous, it will be said, O reassured soul, return to your Lord, well pleased and pleasing to him, and enter among righteous servants and enter my paradise. Indeed, great happiness, bounty, great pleasure, and ease are found in belief in God. For Haruyama, or science, Haruyama emphasizes that happiness can be obtained through excellent health. With excellent health, humans can become more productive, do good deeds, contributing to shared prosperity. With good health, human can maximize the age that has been designed by Allah, the Creator, which is about Well, the most is about 125 years, although average age, our average age is about 70s. With excellent health, humans can be happier and can do much. To obtain excellent health, humans need to be aware of and to release the significant endowment that exists within the brain of the human body, endorphin compounds, and prevent the release of poisonous compound, noradrenaline. Indeed, the key to be happy, according to science or Harirama, is to have healthy body. The meeting point is that the key to be happy in the world and the hereafter is to comply with the rules of Allah, the rules of God, that is to become pious. And Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Let's create happiness or heaven or Jannah in the world and in the hereafter by complying with the rules of God as stated in the Holy Quran and the Sunnah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Hadi. This was a very good presentation on how to combine the spiritual with the physical. And that is actually the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to reach happiness in both worlds. So now we would like to continue because we don't have much time. 15 minutes, please try to be strict with the timing. Our second speaker is, I am going according to the order given to me in the schedule. Mukhtar Dagimun. He is from Usmanu, Danfodiyo, University, Sokoto, Nigeria. He is PhD candidate in Islamic Studies, and I know him that he is a good scholar, inshallah, to become a Nursi expert. His paper title is Belief as a Means of Acquiring the True Meaning of Life According to Nursi's Perspective. Please go ahead.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وعلى خير النبي اصطفى سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, all praise be to Allah, Master of the world. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all those who followed their footsteps to the end of time. I'm sorry that I'm presenting from my hard copy. I did not prepare my PowerPoint presentation. As heard earlier from the chairman, my topic of discussion or the topic of my paper is Belief as a Means of Acquiring the True Meaning of Life in the Light of Nursi's perspective, with special focus on 23rd word. Bediuzzaman Said Nursi was a renowned Muslim scholar and a mujaddid who contributed towards the understanding of the Creator through different Islamic sciences. One of these important aspects of religion is on the benefits of belief, as clearly provided in the 23rd word. This article is an attempt to provide an integrated framework on the benefit of belief in the light of the 23rd word. In this regard, definition of belief is provided on the concept of belief. Similarly, to have better understanding of the subject matter, a set of comparison was drawn also between belief and unbelief. A set of comparison between belief and unbelief, as illustrated by Nursi, is clearly drawn. Discussions on the benefit of belief is also provided in the paper. Now, the concept of belief. To understand this paper better, we define what belief is. In summary, belief is to show acquiescence and acceptance to the divine law of Allah Almighty Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and all that the Prophet, the noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought, and to accept it and believe in it wholeheartedly. Now, Nursi defined this word iman. Nursi defined belief as a relation which connects man to the all-glorious Maker, which makes him acquire value by virtue of the divine acts and inscriptions of the dominical names which become apparent in him. In one of the traditions of the noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Angel Jibril alayhi salam asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the meaning of iman. He asked him, "Akhbirni anil iman." وقال رسول عليه الصلاة والسلام الإيمان أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر وتؤمن بالقدر خيره وشره. That Iman is to believe in Allah and His angels and His books and His messengers, and in the last day, and in faith, that is Qadr, both in its good and the evil aspect of it. Now, coming to the discussions on the benefits of belief. This is an analysis of the Nursi's perspective of belief and its benefit in the light of the 23rd word. Nursi made a comprehensive highlight on the benefits of belief in comparison with the negative aspect of it. Nursi adopted a kind of methodology of comparison between belief and unbelief. According to Nursi, the benefits of belief are said to be in thousands, but however, he pinpoints only to 5 out of them in the 23rd word. These, in summary, provided as follows. The benefits of belief, according to Nursi, in comparison with the unbelief. The first one is attaining paradise. In the 23rd word, Nursi explained that belief raises the dignity and prestige of man to a greater height, which consequently leads to paradise. According to Nursi, through the light of belief, man rises to the highest of the high and acquires a value worthy of paradise. And through the darkness of unbelief, he descends to the lowest of the low and falls to a position fit for hell. Now, from the above quote, Nursi pointed to one of the benefits of belief, which means man can only acquire a higher position that can take him to paradise by having a sincere belief in Allah through obedience to His commandment and abstaining from His prohibition. Nursi compared belief and unbelief by a similitude of light and darkness. When belief is compared to light, unbelief is like a darkness, the effect of which takes one to the hellfire. Now, Nursi gives a similitude of belief and unbelief, like that of man's acts and the value of the materials used. The man is such an antique work of Allah, who is most subtle and grateful and graceful miracle of His power. Man was created to manifest His names and their inscriptions on earth. Through the light of belief, man will be able to read them consciously. Belief connects man to his maker and makes apparent all the works of art in him. On the reverse case, Nursi maintained that if unbelief destroys such relationship, then all those meaningful inscriptions of the divine names are plunged into darkness and become illegible. So from this discussion, it is clear that one of the benefits of belief is that man acquires value through belief by manifesting the divine names of Allah in his entire conduct. Now, the second benefit is that belief illuminates both man and the universe and delivers the past and the future from darkness. In support of this, Nursi quoted the following verse of the glorious Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allahu waliyul lazina amanu yukhrijuhum minaz zulumati ila nur. والذين كفروا أولياءهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. Nursi illustrated this instance by way of comparison in a in a vision he saw, Nursi imagined in a vision this comparison between belief and unbelief in order to show the advantage of belief and its significance. Nursi saw a bridge in a vision between two high mountains with all the terrifying creatures at both his left and right. Nursi described the bridge as the road of life, while the two mountains at the beginning and end of life, which are this world and the intermediate realm. The right side represents the past, while the left side the future. Nursi also imagined a small torch he used in the vision, which does not provide the desired light as the human ego. That is the torch Nursi described as a human ego, which is egotistical, relies on what it only knows, and does not heed the heavenly revelation. These things are imagined to be monsters, where the events and the creatures of the world. Now, from the foregoing, Nursi made it clear the difference between belief and unbelief. The imagined situation above was described as the state of unbelief in which man relies only on his ego, falls into darkness of heedlessness, and is afflicted with the darkness of misgiving. Nursi quoted this ayah, and those who reject faith, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْلِيَاؤُهُمُ الطَّاغُوتُ يُخْرِجُونَهُم مِّنَ النُّورِ إِلَى الظُّلُمَاتِ. In the second state of his vision, Nursi realized that the bridge was just a highway. The vast grave was a beautiful, verdant gardens and the gatherings. In all, this we are trying to show in summary from the foregoing explanation. Nursi showed that belief makes man understand his creator and act according to his commandments. This will further make him see everything with the help of divine light and guidance in all his endeavors, and this is indeed a great benefit. Now, the third benefit, according to Nursi, is that belief is both light and strength. According to Nursi, one of the benefits of belief is placing the trust in Allah completely, and as a result makes one to travel through the mountainous wave of events in the ship of life in complete safety. He entrusts all his burdens to the hand of power of the absolutely powerful one. According to Nursi, belief makes one put his trust in Allah and live a life of ease and comfort in this world and the next world. Finally attains a happier life in the paradise. Now, Nursi gave a similitude of two men who loaded, that is to show the difference between belief and unbelief. In regard to this benefit, Nursi described two men, or gave a similitude of two men who loaded heavy burdens onto both their backs and head, and buying ticket boarded a ship. One of them left his load on the back and sitting on it guarded it. The other, stupid and arrogant, refused to do that, fearing that his load might get lost. Now, when the other person was advised, who refused to put down his load, he later realized how simple and comfortable it is to leave his load on the deck as the first man did. This cited story by Nursi in comparison illustrated a clear difference between the one who put his trust in Allah and the one who does not. This shows the benefit of belief, which is derived as a result of having complete trust in Allah. Placing trust in Allah is further the resultant effect of belief. Now, the first benefit, belief, according to Nursi, makes man a true man. Belief makes man a true man, but unbelief makes man into an extremely ancient beast. According to Nursi, humanity becomes humanity through belief. This is one of the difference between man and animal. Man needs to learn everything when he comes to this world. He is ignorant and needs to go on learning till the end of his life. Man's innate duty is to be perfected through learning and to proclaim his worship of God. So in that this nature and ability, everything is tied to knowledge. The foundation source, light, and spirit of all true knowledge is the knowledge of God and its essence. And the basis of this is belief in Allah. According to Nursi, after the belief in Allah, the fundamental innate duty of man is supplication due to his endless needs and boundless poverty, boundless importance, endless tribulations, and innumerable enemies. It can be inferred from the above highlight by Nursi that man needs to seek for the knowledge of God, which is the basis for belief in him. By having the light of belief in Allah, one is made to understand his position and relation to his creator. Man further understands his weakness in all respects and requires constant supplication to deliver him from the bondage of difficulties and tribulations. Now, the last benefit, as outlined by Nursi, is that belief necessitates supplication as a means of securing needs. Nursi quoted the following verse of the glorious Quran to support his point, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ مَا يَعْبَأُ بِكُمْ رَبِّي لَوْلَا دُعَاؤُكُمْ فَقَدْ كَذَّبْتُمْ فَسَوْفَ يَكُونُ لِزَامًا. Say, my sustainer will not concern himself with you, but for your supplication. In other words, why Lord pays attention to you only because of your invocation to him. Now, in another verse, Allah says, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ أَدْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. Call upon me and I will respond to you. In this regard, Nursi shows that one of the benefits of belief is that it makes one to realize how necessary it is to supplicate to Allah due to man's weakness and impotence. The value and strength of man depends on his constant supplication. Now, Nursi, according to Nursi, every supplication is answered, but it is being accepted, and what was sought being given is dependent on Almighty Allah's wisdom. Allah does in accordance with the requirement of dominical wisdom. He gives either what is sought or what is better than it, or he gives nothing at all. Supplication is a form of worship, and recognition of servitude to God Almighty Allah. Nursi identified 4 types of supplications. The first 3, according to him, belongs to other beings like animals and plants. Well, the fourth type, according to Nursi, is our supplication, which is further subdivided into 2. The first is active and by disposition. Well, the second is the verbal and with heart. For example, having recourse to actions, having recourse to causes is an active prayer. Well, the second is to seek certain wishes which the hand cannot reach. Now, from the foregoing discussions, one come to understand that Nursi mentioned supplication as a necessary tool and weapon for those who believe. Belief makes one to supplicate in order to seek divine help from the one who commands believers to supplicate to him and ask for his divine assistance. Now, due to the limit of time, I will conclude here. In conclusion, the value and the benefits of belief as provided by Nursi are of utmost importance. In the 23rd world, Nursi highlighted on 5 major benefits of belief. It is understood from the discussion that belief is a means of flying to a higher abode in paradise, apart from the life of happiness in the contemporary world. This indeed is the first and highest benefit of belief. Nursi mentioned, as discussed, the second benefit of belief as the light of guidance through which man acquires excellent traits and a happy life in God's world. The third benefit as provided by Nursi is that it makes one to have full trust in Allah, which makes him live in peace, safety, and finally attains everlasting life of happiness in the next world. The fourth benefit outlined by Nursi is what makes man a true man, and that is the knowledge of God, which is the essence and basis for the belief in Allah. The last benefit provided by Nursi in the 23rd word is that it makes one keep a constant remembrance of Allah through supplication to God, which guarantee the securing of his needs, knowing fully his weakness and impotence. Actually, this is what I have in the paper. The little I can present with my little knowledge, inshallah. I'm very grateful for giving me the opportunity to present this paper at this great occasion. May Allah make it a successful one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And thank you very much for listening.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much for this paper. This is actually the essence of the whole Risale-i Nur collection. The main theme is the belief. So that was a good summary. Inshallah, you can develop it further because, there are so many things still, to be discussed, but we don't have time. In the time limits, that is a very good presentation. And then according to the list, again, on the schedule, we have Sister Netty Yuwanda from University of Darussalam, Gontor, from the University of my good friend, Dr. Hamid Zarkeshi is now the rector of the university. Give salams from me, please. And Sister Netty is doing her PhD at the moment, a candidate for doctoral, inshallah. She's going to be a good Nursi scholar also. For today, she's going to present this paper on an important topic again. And this topic is very well known, very specific to Ustaz Nursi. The concept of ana in Arabic. Usually they translate this as ego, but it is better to choose another translation, which is now used, the human I. They is using this, and because the term ego is reminding some other things. And our sister today will present the concept of ana according to Said Nursi, as a response to narcissism. Please, the floor is yours. Turn on your microphone, please. And when your time approaches to the end, I will raise my hand so you can see it. I don't want to interrupt you by voice, so please pay attention to that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll begin to share screen first. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Netty Yuwanda. I'm a postgraduate student in University of Darussalam, Gontor, Indonesia. And today I'm going to present my research about the concept of the human eye, or ana in Arabic, according to Said Nursi, as a response to the Narcissism. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah lana sudurana wa yassir lana umurana wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The psychological crisis is one of the severe problems threatening the future of mankind, one of which is Narcissism. So, the American psychologist, the name is Jane M. Twain, in a book entitled The Narcissism Epidemic, he said that technology, and especially social media with all its features, increase the possibility of narcissism. So, the atheistic thinking and material culture based on a self-love, so wrong understanding of self-concept, so and the absence of spiritual values is considered to have legitimized the emergence of narcissism. So, modern people nowadays with no Tawhidi lifestyle are competing to actualize themselves to be heard and admired, but ignoring their connection with their creator or Allah. People just count what is in them as a result of their achievement. So, therefore, a discussion of the concept of ana is very neat. So, in psychological discourse, the concept of ana in Said Nursi's thought was relevant to solve narcissism. So, in this research, I'm trying to adopt a new approach to self-understanding by examining the concept of the human I or ana in Bediuzzaman Said Nursi's psychological thinking to give a sustainable solution to the contemporary psychological problem of narcissism. Okay, so I'm going to explain you about the narcissism. In the late 18th century, the word narcissism began to define in psychological terms. So, narcissism is a form of individual desire to show that he is a perfect, intelligent, and important person compared to others in order to get attention and adoration from him. So, narcissism in psychology is often associated with a personality disorder. Individuals who have narcissistic personality disorder, or we call NPD, tend to have the following characteristic: overestimating themselves, want to be admired, selfish, low level of empathy, so displaying arrogance and a sense of a personal superiority, intolerance of criticism, have tendencies to belittle others to validate their superiority. Okay, so now I'm going to explain about the human I or ana, the concept of ana. Basically, Said Nursi didn't specifically define the meaning of ana. So, however, through his explanation, it can be understood that the human I is the accumulation of potential that exists in the human soul. It is interpreted as the concept of self within oneself, with the self as the substance. So the human I component includes the entire human being, subtle device, and feelings. It consists of various powers. The first is al-quwa al-ghadabiyah, so the second is al-quwa al-hayawaniyah, and the third is al-quwa al-aqliyah. So,
excuse me, we cannot see your slide, please.
Oh,
I cannot see your slide.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we cannot see it either. Can you start screen sharing again?
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll begin this starting.
Not yet.
Not yet.
This just they started screen sharing.
Okay. Can you see that? No.
No, not yet.
Kok nggak bisa ya?
Udah share. Jadi itu mau jadi kelompokmu siapa sih yang biar share?
How? What should I do? Can you see that? No, haven't.
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh my God. So what should I do? Oh, sorry.
Maybe Mr. Alparslan just stop sharing it so that we can see your body properly. Okay.
Sorry. Can you see that, Evan?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh.
Not yet.
Okay.
Can you enter?
After you start screen share,
Sorry, Prof.
You should double click the PowerPoint.
Oh, I have to. Yeah.
Assalamualaikum, Hujam. Netty, maybe I can help. Maybe Netty need to open first the slide, and then after that click share screen from that, and then click on the slide.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So first open the slide. First open the slide before share screen.
Yeah.
Open the slide in your laptop.
Or find the slide normal, and then after that click share screen, and then click on the PowerPoint that Netty has, and then after that share. Yeah.
Open the slide first. Open the slide first
Okay.
in your laptop. You have already opened the slide.
Yes, I already
Okay.
opened the slide. So.
And then click share screen, please. And can you see your slide over there? When you click the share screen, the green one, can you see your slide?
Yeah.
Okay, if you already see your slide, then click the slide.
Double click.
Let me see that.
Now double click the slides.
Okay.
Wait, maybe also Netty, can you share the document in the document to the chat? I can help to open the PowerPoint for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Sorry?
can find another way for that, inshallah.
Send it to the chat.
Yeah, please share your PowerPoint to the chat, and then I will open on behalf of you, Netty.
Okay.
But unfortunately, they closed it because of the YouTube. When you put anything in the chat, it goes to YouTube also.
I see.
Yeah, share it with the WhatsApp group. Then we can open it up from there.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yes, I have.
Did you share? Did you share?
Yes. Yeah. I have searched in WhatsApp group.
Okay, let me try to open this.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody can see it now?
Yes, Hujam. Yes, Hujam.
Okay, good. Let's continue in that case.
Yeah. Sorry, Prof. I have continue or I begin from the first?
Yes, continue from the slide you left. Which slide was it? I can start that one. Slide number 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, please continue now.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The human eye has an important role in life. So in this universe, although the doors of all entities are open in outward appearance, they are actually closed. And Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala entrusts the key to human as a mandate in the form of the human eye, in which several signs are implied as an indication of the various great qualities of Rububiyah and its sacred condition. In other words, the human eye is the benchmark for understanding the characteristic of the Rububiyah and divine ways. Yeah, the human eye is also a locked mystery when it is closed by recognizing its essence and understanding the secret of its creature, then the entity is opened. So the nature of the human eye is limited. Only some of the attributes of God that exist within human beings, the attribute that reflect the nature of God, humans also cannot own themselves. Ownership in only Rububiyah Juz'iyah from absolute ownership of God. So human beings are required to imitate the attribute of Allah, or we call at-takhulluq bi akhlaqillah. In the concept of the human eye, Said Nursi show a close relation between human as a creature and Allah as Khaliq without eliminating human free will. For example, the relationship between human and God by not eliminating the role of the free will based on all beings. That is why with the human eye he has, one has a potential to be like a zakum tree or the tuba tree. Okay, next, I'm going to explain about Ismi and Harfi paradigms. Said Nursi has a characteristic in each of his concepts. Said Nursi always described it through two conflicting paradigms, the Ismi and Harfi paradigms. So the first Harfi paradigm that initiated views of prophetic genealogies and religion. And the second, the Ismic paradigm, which gave birth to view from philosophical and wisdom lineage. Thus, the contradiction greatly affect the theory of human behavior. So, the human eye as a potential is always present in one's self. Its effect will depend on how humans operate it. It will be good if controlled or understood through a Harfi paradigm. And the other hand, it will affect badly if it is understood through the Ismi paradigm. So, in the relationship to servitude and belief in Allah, the two are at odds. So, the essence of prophethood is where sincere devotion or ubudiyah grows toward God. That he can only recognize himself as a servant of God who must obey his Lord. He understands what the substance of the human eye is Harfi. That is, it is denied a meaning beyond that. The form is only limited to jewelry, because in the truth, it can exist and stand because of others. The ownership should go along with the original owner's permission. Whereas the essence itself is only a shadow, not genuine, perhaps, and a weak being that only reflects the manifestation of the obligatory essence. So the second side of the human eyes become a philosophical tool so that we see it through the Ismi paradigm, Its characteristics show meaning in itself, through itself. So that meaning and essence are found him. His entity is considered authentic and original, has rights in life, is the true owner in his territory. He knows that his job is to improve and perfect himself, but as an orientation of self-love, not as a form of devotion of Allah. So regarding the wisdom of creation, through the Harvey paradigm, humans will later realize the wisdom of their creation, and then they will return all power, praise, and sustain to Allah. So, on the other hand, then when viewed with the Ismi paradigm, he relies on everything not on God, but on himself. Yeah. So with the Ismi, the human eye paradigm, all the beauty of a creature is associated with the creature itself. He does not associate this beauty with the manifestation of divine beauty of this most beautiful at all. Even this beauty could turn into an idol worthy on worship. And I conclude here. Sorry, Prof. In the previous slide. Next, previous slide. Yeah. Okay. I conclude here. Harvey. Yeah, Harvey is. Sorry, Prof. The next slide. Yeah. Yeah, I conclude here, Harvey is putting the possible on the level of possibility and placing the absolute on the level of absolutes. So, the characteristic of Harvey, sorry, Prof, the next page. Harvey paradigm, the first encourage people to a complete understanding of the existence of self and God. So the second never stand alone, always depend, like wealthy, beauty, strong, that belongs to Allah. And the third, human ownership is only an assumptive rububiyah. Then the real God's rububiyah. So human nature is only a partial reflection of God's nature. So with Harvey paradigm, we can be fair to ourselves. And so the effect is ma'rifatullah. Because man arafa nafsahu, arafa rabbahu. So next, for the Harvey, I can conclude. We can conclude here. Ismi is reliant on something that is essentially a possibility, but attributed to the absolute level. Okay, so for the characteristics of Ismi paradigm, first is empty the value of faith, so misunderstanding, and the third is zero knowledge of the existence of God. Okay, for the next slide, Prof, sorry. Okay, now the result of research. We can conclude here the theory of Said Nursi, the human eye, can be used the first step to overcome the narcissism, because the first step begins with the change of mind. So the concept of God becomes very central in saying and understanding on self. Because when he can see and interpret himself correctly, he will be able to know his God. If humans understand themselves through the Ismi paradigm, it does not involve faith or the concept of God in it. Then it is the same as relying on something that is essentially a possibility, but is attributed to the absolute level. On the other hand, if humans can understand themselves correctly through a Harvey paradigm based on faith in God, they will act fairly or justly. That is placing the possible at the level of possibility and placing the absolute at the absolute level. So, because if it is observed further, human nature is limited. Its existence appears at a certain time. How can something finite become a perfect? So, if men understand this limitation and believe that perfection just belongs to Allah alone, then narcissism will not occur. Therefore, faith in God and a true Islamic worldview are needed for spiritual healing of narcissism. Syed Nursi offers a healthy paradigm in interpreting something by understanding a true meaning of other. Harvey's paradigm in Nursi, which is Tawhidi, of course, comes from the understanding of revelation of the Quran. The basic assumption is that the meaning derived from the Quran as Ashifa can be an instrument that heals or provides therapy for disease within a soul. So, this article also concludes that religion and faith have an important role in overcoming any problem of narcissism in modern society. This is shown by the concept of the human eye of Syed Nursi, who offers the interpret the human eye through the Islamic Harvey paradigm. The concept of God becomes very central in saying and understanding of self. Because when we can see and interpret himself correctly, he will be able to know his God. So, if individuals could understand themselves through the Islamic paradigm and do not involve faith or the concept of God in it, then it is the same as relying on something that is essentially a possibility, but is attributed to the absolute level. On the other hand, if humans can understand themselves correctly with a Harvey paradigm based on faith in God, they will behave fairly or justly. So that is placing the possible that is placing the possible at the level of possibility and placing the absolute at the absolute level, because human nature is very limited. Its existence appears at a certain thing. How can something finite said to be perfect? Yeah. So the concept of human eye, when viewed through a Harvey Tawhidi paradigm, encourage humans to have a complete understanding of the existence of self and God, so that humans can be fair by putting themselves in their right place as a servant. And knowing their Lord, or Ma'rifatullah, as the creator of nature. According to him, the human eye, who has an important role in life, has to be understood with the right paradigm, because it is God's mandate to open all entities of the universe as a way to know his Lord. According to Bediuzzaman Syed Nursi, through Harvey's paradigm, in essence, the self never stands alone. It always depends on other. It always depends on other. Understanding that human possessions are only an assumptive rububiyah of the ultimate rububiyah of Allah, and human nature is only a reflection of the partial nature of Allah's attributes. Wealthy, beauty, strength, all dedicated to God. Here is where the role of human faith is needed. But on the other hand, in the understanding of the concept of the human eye is seen through an official paradigm that is empty of faith values. It has implication for the form of wrong understanding and nullifying knowledge of the existence self and God to further generate narcissism. So it is impossible for humans to be narcissistic because they know who they are. And to understand man arafa nafsahu arafa rabbahu. From an Islamic point of view, narcissism is a form of stupidity because it claims God's gift as something that comes from Him. Therefore, this article that I have explained is expected to present a sustainable solution by adopting a new approach and interpreting oneself by examining the concept of the human eye in Bediuzzaman Nursi's psychological thought as an to overcome the contemporary psychological problem of narcissism. So that people do not forget to return to the Quran and the legacy of Islamic scholarship, which are Tawhidi, whenever they are dealing with psychological problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sister. This was a very important, but at the same time very difficult topic, because, you know, combining the issue of ana with harfi and ismi names, it really is a difficult topic. So we enjoyed listening to this good presentation. Thank you very much again. And now, you know, Alhamdulillah, we flew from Indonesia to Nigeria, back to Indonesia, and now we are flying back to Pakistan. Dr. Ahmad Nisar is going to present now. He is from Foreman Christian College, University, Lahore, and he is specialized in Islamic studies also. The topic that he is going to present is belief and happiness in both worlds, building a prosperous individual. Please go ahead, doctor.
Thank you very much, sir, for the introduction. Respected President of the conference, Honorable Secretary of the conference, Professor Nafi Yelkin, and worthy Chairperson of the session, Professor Dr. Alparslan Algin. I am thankful to all you for the invitation, for inviting me in the conference. I am delighted to be a part of this conference. Dear audience, in this conference, I have written on the role of belief in individual and social life with the case of Sayyid Nursi. Respected sir, should I start my presentation?
Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Introduction of the paper which I have written for this conference. The main title is The Role of Belief in Individual and Social Life. With the rise of the 21st century, we have reached an age where the advancement of technology has put human life in a dynamic new sphere of life. With the rise of the 21st century, we have reached an age where the advancement of technology has put human life in a dynamic new sphere of rapid change. We see yesterday's fiction has now become today's reality. In other words, it's more than just a blessing of the century. Despite the advancement in technology that has brought enormous benefits to human and has made their living convenient incredibly, it has also affected humans' behavior at a dangerous level. This rapidly materialistic change leads into secularistic and humanistic states with the denial of spiritualism and monotheism. So, what is the main theme, main question of this this whole paper, where I am going to talk? So the problems of the statement are: humans are increasingly falling prey to materialistic approaches which create inhuman values and imbalanced behavior that causes them to be deprived of prosperous and eudaimonic life. Since this materialism has dropped the values of humanity deliberately, they need a leading pattern that directs happiness and well-being. The main research question of questions of this research are following. Number one, how faith and spirituality shape human personality and counter newfangled challenges of the 21st century to build a prosperous and successful society. Number two, what is the systematic approach that Islam presents to attain a balanced life leading to prosperity, happiness, and real ecstasy in both of the worlds? Number three, what scholarly approaches are presented in Risale-i to lead the individuals for a sustainable and prosperous well-being in 21st century's perspective by Bediuzzaman Said Nursi? Responding to the above raised questions and the case of Said Nursi. To respond to such an alarming and critical situation, Ustad Bediuzzaman Said Nursi emerges with a highly significant and compatible role to counter such disruptive and increasingly prevailing challenges of materialism, ill manners, secularism, domestic violence, and disbelieving that cause to lose human values. Said Nursi clearly depicts how he disregards this destructive materialism and how it affects individuals' well-being. He says, is it possible to say about someone whose body is in false and fleeting heavens, and whose emotions and soul are suffering the torments of hell, that he is satisfied and fully happy? Obviously not. You have driven off track from the right direction of the miserable humankind along these lines. You have pushed mankind into torments of hell in a false paradise. He also demonstrates to combat the effects of these challenges with the light of empowered faith to attain real happiness, well-being, prosperity, and success in both of the worlds. So here I need to draw my viewers' attention that Said Nursi is not a kind of personality who just focus on hereafter. He is the dignity, he is the personality, he is the Ustad who emphasizes success, prosperity in both of the worlds. Here in this world and here and world after death. As Allah Almighty has said, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar. So he believed that it would only come into being when they have enriched themselves with Quran and particularly its faith-based lessons for which he served his entire life. So in this regard, Ustad Sayyid Nursi's recommendations to attain forever happiness, what he suggests, Sayyid Nursi in his Risale-i Nur makes the Holy Quran as a foundation source of happiness. He says, everything necessary for man's happiness in this world and the next is found within it in relation to its worth. Then almost in every parts of the Risale-i Nur, he emphasizes on the oneness of Allah, the Almighty, a central theme of prosperity. For instance, he says, for us God suffices, and he is the best disposer of affairs. Same is the case with every collection from Risale-i Nur, like in the rays, flashes, the letter, and in the words, to emphasize in the whole being, presence, divine unity, and his controlling power all the way in his letters for the best of people. What he has suggested, in this regard, we see that he has emphasized human faith. That faith is the real value that can empower human being in every situation to combat, to control, and to compete every challenges, whether it is the challenges, whether these are the challenges of the 21st century or challenges of the 22nd century. Hierarchy of well-being, happiness, and success in Islamic terms. As I requested earlier, that he has made the faith as a protector, as a safeguard of the humanity from all the challenges which we are facing, particularly particularly Muslims who are facing challenges around the world. So he emphasizes on faith. What is faith? Faith is basically a safeguard which God has given to human being for the best of his life, both in this world and the world after. So here we see in Islamic literature, there are three words which depict about success, about happiness. Number one, an-najah. This word is used, comes in the traditions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, as he has said, man samata najah. So the word najah comes here, and this najah is happiness, achievement of mere worldly things or for a limited time. Next word, al-fawz, that also tells about happiness, about success, about prosperity. And this word comes in Holy Quran, faman zuhziha anin nar wa udkhila al-jannah faqad faz. Right? So whosoever is removed away from the fire and is made to enter heaven has indeed attained his goal. The next word which Quran deliberately used, in which Allah deliberately has revealed in Holy Quran, it is the word al-falah, al-iman. Al-falah and al-iman. Al-falah is a word that is used to know what is success, what is achievement, salvation, happiness, well-being, and everlasting satisfaction that deal with every domain of human life in both of the worlds, as the word comes at numerous places, both in Quran and Hadith of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, to discuss what faith is and what is the meaning of being faithful. As this word comes in Surah Al-Mu'minun, Qad aflaha al-mu'minun. Verily successful are those who are faithful. So this faith basically deals with the everlasting happiness. But how we can attain this everlasting happiness? As Professor Mashadi Said dictated in his presentation, that there are 4 basic needs of the human life. If we are able to control, we are able to balance these 4 goals, 4 needs of human life, we are the person who are attain real happiness. What are those? First, the physiological needs. Second, the intellectual needs. Third, where we see self-esteem. And fourth is the need known as soul need, right? So this soul need is known as a spiritual need of human life. If we are able to balance, equally balance all these 4 faculties of human life, we are the person who are attaining real happiness. So here, we were talking about, we are making a relationship between faith and happiness. So we need to emphasize, we need to, deliberately talk on the levels of faith, the origin of faith. But just because of the shortage of time, I am just introducing about the levels of faith. Ilmul Yaqeen, the very first level. Second, Ainul Yaqeen, seeing. Third, Haqqul Yaqeen, when you are practically doing something. So this is your absolute faith, absolute truth that Quran has depicted, right? And here I would also like to add a quote of Hafiz Ghani in his book, When to Explain Levels of Faith, including a wider interpretation by Allama Muhammad Iqbal in following classification: Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. Ihsan is the highest level of faith. We are not asked to hold ihsan in every situation to become successful, but what we are asked in Holy Quran, to empower our faith, and that faith is known as Iman. So we need to empower our Iman, faith, to become successful. And in this regard, when we are able to empower our faith, we can assess our faith. We are not asked to assess others' faith, but we are asked to assess our faith. So this assessment of faith can be seen in the following questions. Does this belief help me improve the quality of my life? Does this faith help me become a better person and attain self-actualization? Does this belief interpret phenomena, reality in an appropriate, rational, scientific, and spiritual manner? So, Sayyid Nursi, in this regard, talks all these factors in Risale-i Nur. What he has, what are the approaches, what he has presented the approaches, we can see in the following 3 points. The study of Risale-i Nur reflects the reality, truth, and purpose of life that reader sees the quest to share the Risale-i Nur to his fellow beings. The study of Risale-i Nur strengthens the belief in man, which brings him closer to God. The study of Risale-i Nur develops human personality to hold balance among all the basic faculties of human life for well-being and prosperity. So I am going to conclude this discussion with these points. To combat these challenges, faith, which is the most felicitous, compatible, and effective source, produces new hope, satisfaction, happiness, prosperity, and well-being in both of the worlds. If it is transformed and demonstrated with professional manners, the role of Sayyid Nursi in this challenging time of the 21st century does not appear as a preacher only, but rather a reformist and revivalist with an indispensable synergy to refute such problems with the revival and building of human being. His approaches bring back the values of human being for the best of both the worlds. But this is not enough for the higher goals. To achieve the higher and broader goals, Risale-i Nur presents a sound, adequate, and compatible commentary of the Holy Quran with the Sunnah of the Prophet and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that deals with the whole person's body, mind, heart, and soul. But it requires to hold equal balance in each of the four faculties. We need to spread the teachings, practices, and demonstrations of Sayyid Nursi, which specifically are presented in Risale-i Nur, to bring happiness, well-being, and prosperity to the individuals across the Muslim communities. Thank you very much, sir, for the invitation. I am blessed and humbled with this presentation, with this invitation. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. This was a very good presentation also. I don't want to lose time because the other session is supposed to start right now, actually. So we passed our time over, but we have one more presentation by Dr. Nurulwahidah Binti Fauzi. We are going back to Malaysia again. She is a senior lecturer at the University Science Islam Malaysia, and her paper title is Loyalty as an Indicator in Enhancing a Solid Religious Belief Within Human Being, an approach from Bediuzzaman Sayyid Nursi's perspective. The other session, they are waiting in line to enter, so please try to finish on time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I think I'm maybe quite lucky or unlucky. I am both between both of this situation, but Alhamdulillah, I'm very happy that I am here. Inshallah, to present, and I will try my best to quickly finish up my presentation as soon as possible, inshallah. So a very good quick salam to all of my friends and colleagues from all of the presenters from Pakistan, from Indonesia, and also from Istanbul. Today, I would like to present about the topics of loyalty as an indicator of strong belief, of course, from Risale-i Nur approach. And I am a lecturer from Faculty of Quranic and Sunnah Studies, Universitas Islam Malaysia. So inshallah today I would like to share about my findings about the topics of the loyalty that I have found in Risale-i Nur, whereas it become one of the personal values that came up from 102 examples of the personal values and belief in human life system. But then within all of the 102 examples, for example, one of the sharings that we can see about the personal values is also committed maybe regarding about the freedoms, about family, about security, about the connection, creativity, humanity, and all the others good personal values. But I'm choosing one of the good and important topics about the discussions about loyalty. And I'm thinking that the topics of the loyalty will become one of the kind of the personal values that can becoming one of the important parts in our life that we are going to it can be one part of our decision, a big decision or big objective in our life. And this article, I will go through and attempt to achieve some of the important objectives, such as the first one, I would like to discuss about the concept of the loyalty from the Islamic perspective. And also second one, to describe Syed Nursi's understandings of loyalty from Risale-i approach. And the third one, to analyze the interconnection within the analogy described by Syed Nursi to further clarify and interpretations of the verse of Al-Quran. And inshallah, for the introductions, the meaning of the loyalty, as we already know in general, or we go for the definition, it was has been explored as the meaning as a willingness and true growing devotions of a person to a cause, which is in turn direct a person to manifest so far as is possible to eternal, that is the conscious and superhuman unity of life in the form of the acts of an individual self. So I find out that in here, Hujam, that loyalty are being part of the important subject matters for a human being that having a rational thinking. And whereas this kind of the concept giving or direct or will drive a man to find his individual place in the one universal, rational, and a moral order. So in this kind of the concept, in the limits of his own personal experience, loyalty can be described as ethical destiny, and that without it, he can win no peace. So we can say that loyalty will normally become one of the active powers that drive people to be or to live in the rational thinking for what they would like to decide in their life. So if we screen in that from the sociological field, we will find out that the term loyalty are synonyms with the terminology of the faithfulness, which is explained as a state of being full of faith in the sense of steady devotion to a person, things, or concept. So this kind of feelings of faithfulness sometimes will lead people to have faith in their families. Some have faith in love as a positive force. Some have faith in institutionals or communities. So it is normal for and being loyal is actually normal without we realize that we actually always apply this. For example, when we go for our career, when we love our career so much, we didn't care about any circumstance that coming into our career path. As long as we can do and we can develop our existence and our academic, for example, in drive us to become a better person in front of Allah. So it inshallah it become one part of the important things that develop us to be a loyal person in what we would like to do. So the same things happen for those who would like to go for love within their family, love within their loved one. So what I would like to say that in the context of religion, Hujam, for example, we could understand that faith is to be intensely personal and often seen and extremely private. And thus it normally refers to the context of belief in God. So I understand from this criteria that Allah giving us the feeling of being loyal, because Allah wants us to understand the context of belief in God in the concepts of the religious, it being one part of the important things of having a faithfulness feeling or loyalty feeling. And interestingly, we find out that faith defined as a religious attitude or accepted set of personal belief are not present in the ancient worlds of Greek and Roman culture. Rather, this concept of faith singularly and directly originated in the Hebrew scriptures. Whereas from this kind of the perspective, we could find that this kind Hebrew scriptures is coming from the Jews and become one part of the religion that coming from Musa, Nabi Musa. And through this perspective, we can understand that loyalty to true beliefs will form superior personal values in the human soul. And it is the key to peace. In fact, it's even capable of solving personal problems related to the purpose of our life. So how does loyalty develop? So when we find out that the loyalty developed from the point or the Islamic concept of a point of view, loyalty imposed in the action of obey, that we call as ta'at. And Al-Quran exposed in various verses explaining the construct of obedience, ta'at as one of the main pillars in develop a human soul. And we have found that in the analysis through Al-Quran and Hadith, they are frequently of loyal and obedient has been said many times. And the discussion are as stated in the following verse. There are two important ayat that I would like to share with all of our audience. The first one is about the ayat of Surah Al-Fatih, verse 10, whereas Allah has been said that declaration of loyalty to Allah and the Messenger, whereas in here it has been said that surely those who pledge allegiance to you, O Prophet, are actually pledging allegiance to Allah. And then the second one in Surah Al-Azab, and remember when we took a covenant from the Prophet as well as from you, O Prophet, and from Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, son of Mary, we did take a solemn covenant from all of them. So it gives a very crucial meaning, whereas these two of the ayah, I find out that in Risale-i has been mentioned and has been explained in detail what kind of the purpose of the loyalty that has been that Allah seek from us, and then what is the meaning of the loyalty that has been discussed, also from the perspective of being loyal to the messengers. Okay, and then also this one, a solemn oath within a slave and Allah. And I just share like this because we did not have so much time. And for the in-depth research into verses of the Al-Quran, we have found that there are 41 times mentioning ayat that was concerning the context of obedience or ta'at, with a unique discussion when there are 6 times of verses are repeated in the same surah, affirm that command and movement of work to be faithful to Allah and the Messenger. Again, it's also a command for being faithful or being loyal to Allah and the Messenger. And the ayah is Fattaqullaha wa ati'un. It has been repeated 6 times in Surah Ash-Shu'ara, verse 126, 131, 144, 150, 163, and 179. So all this kind an interesting point that I would like to highlight in here, that interpretation of this verse refer to some invitation and prompt by God, who are the guiding flyers of mankind in their system of life, and Allah would like to let us to understand that why he said that fattaqullaha wa ati'un, fear to Allah and obey to me as messenger, as part of the messenger's dawah. It was a guideline to a narrative story about the people of the Prophet Hud, Saleh, the people of Lut, the Prophet Shu'aib, so that these people, his people, to obey Allah out of the wrongdoing done for generation, idolatry, boasting with the wealth of the world. So we could find there are 2 important points in here. The first one, when Allah asked to be loyal, Allah asks us to be loyal to him as a God to us. Second one, Allah asked to the messengers also to being loyal to him. So that's why we can see that how consistent and how persistent are all the messengers to keep going, to keep convey all of Allah guidance, all of Allah orders, even though they go with a lot of challenges, even though they are a human being like us. Okay, and then Nursi in his commentary mentioned the priorities of the actions of this prophet, and among them he extracted the above verse, and also what he would like to give an important points is the first one is fear to Allah. Second one, each prophet was sent to his particular people to remind them of the need of to worship the one God and refrain from associating partners with him, and they were no gods, sons of partners of God, but were simply the best of the mankind. Okay, I will try to be quick for this one, Hojam. And then for the loyalty as an indicator of strong belief from Nursian perspective. When Joyce discussed the concept of loyalty in saying that in loyalty, when loyalty is properly defined, is the fulfillment of the whole moral law. It has been shown that it was giving a good expression of thought that should be examined from the perspective of religion. So from this point of view, loyalty is merely emotion. For example, the devotions of the loyal man involve a sort of restraint or submission of his natural desire to his causes. So to which part, in this part, he illustrated, Ustaz Bediuzzaman said Nursi illustrated the obedient perspective in the description of the analogies presented through Risale-i. Among them are with the three main points. The first one is obedience towards Allah. Second one, obedience to the messenger. Third one is follow a right path and those who serve to Allah. So I would like to highlight firstly that in here, Ustaz Bediuzzaman said Nursi also mentioned fattaqullaha wa ati'un. The concept of being loyal to Allah and to the messengers, he described with a very good explanation and description in Risale-i, and also he explained also the third one, follow a right path and those who serve to Allah. Hujam, how many minutes should I still have, Hujam? Maybe 1 minute more?
Three more minutes.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, Hujam. Okay, so the first one is obedient to Allah. In here, Ustaz Nursi explained in detail on why we need to be loyal, ta'at to Allah. So in this part, Ustaz Nursi explained how to be loyal. He said that, yes, you all people like me, indeed Allah present His noble substance to us and introduced Him to us in more than 100 places in the Al-Quran in the form of the most gracious and the most merciful. So in here, in the summary, Ustaz Nursi would like to explain that we must be obedient when we must be loyal to Allah because He is the God. He is the one who creates. He is the creator of us, and He would be the one who we need to give Him the. We need to be obeyed to Him, and we need to give Him the most appreciation. So this is one part of the summary for that. And second one is to be able to produce the most beautiful happiness and blessing either to human or to jinns. So in here, Nursi also says that whoever know God and fill his soul with the light of love for Him will surely have the ever-present fullness, the never-ending enjoyment, and the light that never fades. So Allah has been mentioned by Ustaz Nursi also has mentioned in here that whoever know God and feel his soul will feel the light of love from Him. So when we being a loyal person, when we being always obey to Allah as our creator, surely He will give us with a full light of love, and surely He will give us the never-ending enjoyment. And this one, this is the God authority. Or why? The question of why Allah wants us to be loyal to them has been explained in detail by Ustaz Nursi, but I will not reading this. But in conclusion, in here, the God's authority has been explained. What has been said by Ustaz Nursi has been explained by Allah in Surah Al-Hajj, ayat verse 1 until 4, whereas he mentioned in here in the ayah or in the verse about the manifestation of dominicality performing a various tasks in the heaven, and how he say how great He is as a God, and He has the whole authority for us as a slave. And after that, the obedience to the messenger, also in here, Ustaz Nursi explained and then answered the importance of obeying the messenger among others. He said that they have all unanimously declared it to be a 99% certain probability, saying the only way to be saved from extinction and eternal imprisonment and be directed to eternal happiness is through belief in God and obedience to Him. So, and the third one is follow a right path and those who serve to Allah. In here, Ustaz Bediuzzaman explained there are several terms circulating among the Sufis, including Al-Fana fi al-Sheikh, melting in the Sheikh, and Al-Fana fi al-Rasul, melting in the Apostles. I'm just not a Sufi, he said. However, Al-Fana fi al-Ikhwan, melting in brotherhood, is a beautiful principle that is very in accordance with our method of manhaj. In other words, everyone should immerse themselves in other and tafani, and that is, he must forget the feeling of his passions and consider the virtues of his brother as his own. So in here, Bediuzzaman Nursi would like to explain being a loyal for those who are in the right path and those who serve to Allah is one of the important things also to develop us or to drive us to the right path to Allah itself. And Said Nursi has conveyed an analogy regarding obedience and faithfulness as the discourse of educating his community. Among them are already explained in this chapter. And then for the conclusion, for the conclusion, I would like to say that loyalty is a value that is so essential, that is usage in Al-Quran, that can be interpreted as ta'at or obedient, and it is being defined, it's being identified to this extent as a clear indication for man to find his eternal destiny from the perspective of religion, thus drive them to find his individual place in one universal, rational, and moral order. So I think maybe that's all from me, Hojam. We did not have any time anymore. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed this session. Very nice papers presented. We are about 25 minutes over our time, and the next session is waiting to enter. So we'll see you, inshallah. You can follow the rest of the conference from the YouTube at the same time. I would like to thank you on behalf of Istanbul Foundation for Science and Culture. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
Walaikum
barakatuh.
salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you,
warahmatullahi
Hojam. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, all of
Thank you,
our friends.
all of you. Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
You have to leave?
Yes. Now I think, I don't know, they'll probably they will connect directly to the other session. Maybe they will pass us.
So no QA session.
I think they had, you know, but we are 25 minutes over. So
yeah.
MashaAllah.
Even I think I speed the train very fast, Hojam. I'm so sorry.
This is very good. You know, thank you very much. You know, you really finished it right on time.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. I'm sorry for any circumstances.
So
Hojam.
I am waiting for them to cut us or we leave. I don't know how they will work this out.
Maybe we should go out first, Hojam. After that, maybe the secretariat will also take a task to also continue with another session.
Okay, then thank you very much.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh from Malaysia, Hojam. Assalamualaikum semua.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much, sir, for presenting the session. It was a wonderful session.
Assalamu alaikum.